Today, we have a real special guest with us. This person is a four-time state qualifier, three-time state place winner, capping off his high school career at Assumption High School with a 47-0 state championship. Later went on to wrestle for Wartburg, obtaining a 135-15 record. I believe that's in the top 10 records at Wartburg right now. Also becoming a three-time All-American, two-time national champ, also leading Wartburg to 4 consecutive national titles and 4 national dual championships. Currently, he has been the co-founder and opening Bayou Elite Wrestling Club, director of wrestling operations at Holy Cross, started the Burg Training Center, and is the assistant wrestling coach at Wartburg. I'm happy to introduce Mr. Landon Williams.
Thanks for having me, guys. This is awesome. I've really been following what you guys are doing. I really like that you guys are bringing some, media and just like, I love what's going on in the Quad City area wrestling. I know even when I was back there, it was, pretty good programs all around. And, I like these kids being able to get, the recognition they deserve.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us, Landon. We appreciate it, man. I guess let's start, if we could, just at the beginning of your career. So can you tell us kind of how you got started in wrestling?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started as a kindergartner, and I was actually living in Durant, Iowa at the time. My coach at the time, his name was Mark Mays. He had multiple kids that wrestled at Wilton. And he kind of just got me involved because, I had a lot of energy, and I was always running around, and he saw that and thought it would be, good to get me involved in wrestling. And obviously I fell in love with it right from the start. And then he would always take me up to Iowa City for the Hawkeye Kids Club, I think in 3rd and 4th grade, and kind of getting that extra wrestling. And then in 5th grade, I moved to Eldridge, and that's when I kind of started wrestling. And at that time, it kind of rotated. So there'd be 1 day a week at Assumption, 1 day a week at North Scott, and 1 day a week at Bettendorf. So all those, high-level guys that were coming out of that area at the time, we all trained together, through coming up as a youth. And it was awesome because we would get all different coaches, from all those top programs. So
that is awesome. That helps a lot. There, at that time, was there, I don't remember when like Young Guns and those types of things started up. Were like Young Guns, was that around? Do you remember?
So I don't think it was around quite then, because that was kind of early. I think Young Guns I don't know when they end up moving to the area, but I started going to Young Guns when I was a sophomore. So when I went to Davenport Assumption, I started going to Young Guns at the time.
Gotcha. Cool. It sounds like you had sort of a club in a way, if you're moving from school to school a little bit, training together all the time. It was kind of like that kind of a club atmosphere probably.
Yeah, it was like that, and you got different coaches, different partners, different types of practices, right? Because like North Scott ran practices differently, Assumption's youth club ran differently, in Bettendorf also. And then a couple of days a week we would drive up to Iowa City and go to that Hawkeye Kids Club at Carver, where like all the main studs in the youth would meet together,
So you talked a lot about your wrestling teammates. What makes a good teammate as a teammate, that's on your team, and then just a good wrestling partner? What do you look for in that? And who would you say would be, someone that stood out to you?
I would say someone that's like-minded, kind of has the same vision, same goals, lives the same lifestyle as you, and someone that's going to ultimately hold you accountable each and every day, because wrestling's a hard sport, and there's times that, you might not feel like going to that practice or pushing yourself, but you have those teammates that are going to say, hey, let's make sure we work through this. Let's get better, and, at Assumption, obviously my main partner at the time was Brody Grothis. he came in. He was a sophomore when I was I was a sophomore when he was a freshman, and obviously we trained all together. And then at Wartburg, I had multiple really good partners, but the one that really stuck out to me was Cole Welter. He's from Don Bosco, 3-time state champ. He ended up being like a couple-time All-American national champ for Wartburg, and I think the biggest thing with how those two, they were so good partners because they held you accountable, like I said, in the room, and they also wrestled in every position, right? They were both good on top. They were both good on their feet. So it held you accountable in all positions, right? And it forced you to wrestle through all those positions, not just where you're good at.
Sure. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. What what is the biggest obstacle that you had to overcome as either a wrestler or a coach?
I would say the biggest obstacle was, so I was kind of known for my top wrestling. I was pretty good in those positions. So when I was getting into college, I really had to focus on getting better in neutral because the biggest difference I think in college and in high school is in college, they really scout, so they know, like we watch a lot of film here, people watch a lot of film, so they know what you're going to do, so there was times like high level matches that if I didn't pick top, which even my coaches sometimes didn't like for me to do, even with me being good, I had to go get that takedown in order to get on top because very rarely was someone going to pick bottom. And then what I learned through, the years of wrestling in college was if you start getting the takedown, the transitions and the turns are a lot easier than picking top and trying to get a turn. So it's easier to turn someone when you take them down right into a wrist, right into a half, instead of picking top and having to like force a breakdown, force a turn.
So what do you credit a lot of your success to as a wrestler, and how did that carry over for you in your coaching? And with your coaching, next question I'll get to later is the difference where you've been with starting youth clubs and some of your coaching at a college level.
I think the biggest thing I would say is just, being able to absorb the technique from multiple coaches, right? Because, and learning from not only my partners, but my coaches, and, taking a little bit of style from each coach, taking a little style from each wrestler, and kind of just learning as you go and developing your own system, your own style, I would say, and then working on it every day in order to be able to get good enough. No matter what someone does, you're able to force your style. You're able to force your turns. You're able to get to the positions where you're good at, and, score there. So I would say that was the biggest thing I took away.
I like that. What about how did that transition into your coaching career as well? Because that's a big jump. Some people have a little issues moving from being a successful wrestler to a coach. How was your transition, and who were a couple of key figures that helped you through that process?
So I think the biggest thing was, kind of just developing a system in place of how to show wrestling, and how to teach these guys. Because some things that I've been working on for 20 years that come natural to me, I have to kind of break it down fundamentally and down to the ground floor and, set the foundation that's going to lead to these techniques. And the biggest thing that I felt that helped me was just traveling to different clubs, traveling, I mean, we would go up to Young Guns every summer and, learn just from those high level coaches and stuff, and, being able to, know that you always have to learn, right? No matter how good you were at wrestling, no matter how good you're at, what position, there's always someone that you can learn from. And the biggest thing that I took out of it was it's not almost like that we're not, like we might be showing the exact same rooms or exact same moves, but the way that they explain it is different, and kids pick up on that totally different. This kid might not pick up on, if I show it and say it this way, but they might pick it up and learn how to do it if I show it the other way. So that was kind of what I learned over the years and kind of helped me.
Yeah. Okay. So what is your philosophy on off-season wrestling?
You got to be wrestling, year round. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't play other sports. And, the biggest thing is just getting into that wrestling room, a couple times a week, if you're playing other sports. So if you're playing football, I played football up until sophomore year, but I was still wrestling, right? I was still getting my workouts in. I was still getting my drills in, and during the freestyle and Greco season, I mean, I didn't compete a whole lot in freestyle and Greco, but we were training it, right? Because I worked a lot in the summers, but we were still training, right? We were still in the room training. I was still drilling, So I wouldn't say that you have to wrestle year round, but you need to be wrestling, working on your craft, all the time.
Sure.
If you want to get better, that's the ultimate thing.
What actually that leads me into a quick side question is what do you recommend, or what should kids be doing right now to get better at wrestling?
I mean, right now, since we really can't get into rooms, I mean, I listen to a lot of the podcasts that are going around, because just because you can't wrestle doesn't mean that you can't pick up something, that some of these high-level coaches, high-level wrestlers in their interviews, right? Like, I'm a big, person in listening to those interviews, watching film. I mean, I watch a lot of films of not only our own wrestlers, but I watch, wrestling. Watch youth technique, youth matches all the way up till international, because I just like to see how people coach. I like to see how people wrestle, different styles, and you might pick up something, based on who you're watching, and so that at this time, I work out as much as you can with, social distancing, but the biggest thing is listen to those high level coaches and athletes right now, because a lot of them are getting interviewed. So that, and then watch all the archive technique,
How are you keeping in contact with your wrestlers at this point, with social distancing? We're doing our meetings by Zoom right now, as you know. How are you keeping in contact and making sure your college wrestlers are doing what they need to do at this point?
We're shooting them texts, texting back and forth, giving them phone calls, kind of just, staying up to date with them on that aspect. Some of the youth wrestlers or, that I've coached over the years, I talk to their parents. I pick up the phone call and talk to them just to let them know I'm here. Because, I mean, this is a tough time for everyone, especially for someone that, has been wrestling their whole life. And, as a wrestler, you're always being like, I need to get better. I got to be doing something, and right now we're kind of, stuck indoors, stuck in, something that's not normal to us. But obviously we're going to figure it out and overcome it and find ways that we can get better. But I'm constantly contacting all the guys, picking up the phone and, letting them know we're here just in case they need something. Our phones are always on, shoot us a text, give us a call. We're here.
Yeah, that means a lot, I think, to the guys. So that's good. When do you first start recruiting a wrestler, and what are the things that you sort of first look at in a recruit?
I think my biggest thing is I'm always watching kids. I'm always watching kids. I watch a lot of the middle school tournaments. I watch a lot of high school just because I like wrestling. I like wrestling. I like coaching and, getting in, involved at all the levels. But I mean, I think, normally junior year, we'll start reaching out to kids. And I mean, the biggest thing that I like is, out of a wrestler, someone that's going to show up every day and work, and someone that's going to, fight for 6 minutes, the whole time, or 7 minutes in college, people that are just going to go hard, and because we can show them the technique, we can get them better in positioning, but, success to us is, fighting every day, fighting every practice, fighting through every position, and fighting for 6, 7, 8 minutes, however it takes, that's success for us.
And, something else I was really impressed when we visited with you guys is Coach Keller. One of the first things he said to us is he a good student? Because, that's, you got to be a good student and have that good foundation before you can build, because you guys are basically making an investment in these wrestlers, right?
Yeah, I would say, the biggest thing is, you got to win in all aspects of your life. Because there's going to be a time when wrestling is over competitively for you, right? If you move into coaching and, you can be involved your whole life, but there's going to be a point in time that you can't compete anymore, right? And so you got to try to win in every aspect of life. And that's, from your school, from your work ethic, and obviously on the wrestling mat, but off the wrestling mat. And your character is gonna shine through, in the end. What you're doing each and every day, it's gonna set you up for bigger and better things. You're gonna think at a higher level, and like I said, character is important.
What do you see as one of the biggest challenges for high school wrestlers transitioning into the college ranks at this point in time?
I would say the biggest transition is mat wrestling, so you got to be able to ride, you got to be able to get out, and that's the biggest thing. And that was the biggest thing that I had trouble with, was I had to work on bottom, and if it's not always the most fun thing to do, stay after practice and work on your stand-ups, but that's what I had to do, or have one of your best guys in the room that rides legs, throw legs in and work on, leg slips, or, getting out of legs, sealing off, being disciplined in your bottom wrestling, not reaching in. That's what you see a lot of, is if you reach in the college level, or even a high level high school kid, you're giving up wrists, and if you give up a wrist, you're usually giving up back points. And now in college with 4-point near fall, it's you do not want to give up wrists.
Sure.
It's a quick game changer.
Mm-hmm.
So visualization and goal setting are sort of some key words in wrestling we hear about sometimes. How do you work with your wrestlers on those things, on visualization and goal setting?
We really just talk about it. We talk about whatever you want to achieve, it's possible, right? You just got to believe it, and you got to set out, and you got to work each and every day on achieving that. But if you believe it and you set that goal, right, it's possible to achieve, but you got to work it each and every day. And the biggest thing is just thinking at a higher level, thinking that anything is possible, right? If you're willing to put in the work and you're willing to use your resources to get it done, that's going to help, right? So set that goal and set it high, and then think each and every day at a higher level. That's going to keep making you build and, reaching that goal. Because, if you want to achieve it, you got to think about it. And I think that's the biggest thing that kind of helped me in college was, I thought about it. I thought, when we came in, we were like, we want to win 4 NCAA national titles in a row. It's never been done before, on the team aspect. We want to do it. And then we talked about it, right? Because if you talk about it, it's gonna catch on, right? Because if you're talking about it, then your 57-pounder is going to talk about it. Then your heavyweight's going to talk about it, and then it's going to be a common goal amongst everyone. And then, like we said about that teammate aspect, is they're going to hold you accountable, right? And that's the biggest thing I thought, in our 4 years here at Wartburg, we were wrestling for much more than ourselves. It was much more than ourselves. We were wrestling for our teammates. We were wrestling for our coaches. We were wrestling for that past alumni that have, done it before us,
Yeah, that's awesome. I like what you said about talking about it. Really resonates with me. I think talking about setting a goal and talking about your goal makes it real. It makes it like it's going to happen. It becomes, like you said, a common goal, and it feels more real when you really talk about it and have it out there as an open thing. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I'm looking at this year's schedule and going into next year's schedule with your Wartburg team. Landon, I know it's probably disappointment not being able to have the guys push through at that national tournament. However, what are you guys looking like next year? How many returning guys do you have, and how strong is the team looking?
Next year's a new year, obviously. You can't. I feel like we had a pretty successful season. If you look at it as a whole, we won the national duels. you know, had a pretty good year, you know. And I mean, the biggest thing is I think we lose out of our starting lineup. I think we lose 2 seniors. We lose Martine Sandoval, 157, then Max Forsythe at 165. But so we'll be returning 8 starters from last year. But I mean we got a whole bunch of kids in the room that are going to be hungry, chomping at the bit, ready to get in and kind of, you know, make that roster, you know, step in and wear that Wartburg singlet, you know. And the biggest thing we're kind of looking forward to is, I mean, we just locked it down, I think yesterday. We're going to Hilton, and we're going to wrestle Iowa State in the dual meet. So on a Friday night, we're going to compete against Iowa State. So thought it was something really cool, because when I was in college, we went to Wisconsin, and we wrestled Wisconsin in a dual meet in 2011, and we tied them, and it came down to criteria, and we ended up losing on the last criteria. But something that me and my teammates still talk about to this day is just wrestling that D1 level and stuff. So we thought when the opportunity came to go out and up to Hilton and wrestle Iowa State, we thought, I mean, why not?
Yeah. You know, it's funny, man. I just saw that on the schedule today too. I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah, November 6th, it looks like. So we'll mark it on our calendars. We're going to have to – that's going to be one that everyone's going to want to watch. So that'll be awesome.
Oh, yeah, I'm fired up about it. Ready to watch our guys just go out there and, you know, fight and let it fly.
Yep, that's awesome. So, Landon, can you tell us a little bit – I heard a little bit about the Burg Training Center. Is that you opened up a training center?
Yep, so – Burg Training Center. It's a youth, middle school, and high school kind of like club that, you know, that I'll be overseeing, kind of just giving wrestlers extra opportunity to train on top of their obviously local clubs that they go to, their feeder clubs and stuff. So it's just kind of a training center that they can come in and train, and we kind of really break down the technique and break down the positioning, and, you know, help these guys just get that extra wrestle. And then, you know, it'll be offered year round. You know, we'll have a lot of college guys in the room and various different coaches kind of running practices and, you know, throughout the year, and it should be good. I mean, just hopefully, you know, I mean, we before this whole coronavirus thing happened, we were having, you know, 30 plus kids in the room. So I mean, it was really taking off, and we're looking forward to getting back to training those kids when the time comes. So
awesome. So if you're hearing this and you're in the Waverly area, check out the Burg Training Center. It sounds great. Good level coaching, it sounds like. Awesome.
Great coaches, great room, good place to be. All right, Landon, now's the hard part where we got to dig deep. This is what we call OT, sudden death questions. You ready for it?
Oh yeah, let's do it. Okay.
Favorite wrestling movie?
I would have to say the movie Legendary. So it was with John Cena, and it was based out of New Orleans or out of Louisiana, and a couple of my college teammates were actually stars in the movie. So yeah, it's kind of cool. It's kind of a cheesy movie, but it's good because it hits home a little. The guys that I know was in the movie.
Yeah, that's a good one. I watched that recently. Yeah. Favorite wrestling match of all time? Could be yours or any one that you've seen.
I would have to say it's probably a tie between two. I would say it's probably Kerry Colott and Mark Ironside, or Mark Perry, Johnny Hendricks. I mean, I think those are probably the two that, obviously, growing up in Iowa, you know, when I was way young, I watched that Kerry Colott, Johnny Hendricks one, or Kerry Colott, Mark Ironside, and then when I was a little older, it was Mark Perry and Johnny Hendricks.
Very good. Very good.
All right. Coach Williams gets to choose the music in the wrestling room one time. What is it going to be? What's the genre?
I'm more of a country guy, so I'd have to go with country. We usually change it up a lot based on who's picking the music, but I'd have to pick country.
Gotcha. What's your favorite vacation destination?
I haven't really went on very many vacations. It's usually wrestling based, but I always enjoy getting up to Pennsylvania, during the summer, spending a week up there, a couple weeks up there, with Young Guns and with Jody Strip Matter. I mean, I love that, just being with high level guys and high level coaches. It makes me better, and it's nice up there in Pennsylvania.
It is. It's beautiful. The mountains there. Yeah, it's beautiful.
All right. Greatest U.S. Olympic wrestler.
I would have to say it's probably Dave Schultz. Burroughs is obviously nipping at the butt, or between probably Dave Schultz or John Smith and Burroughs. Those are probably the top three if I had to say.
Studs, bunch of studs for sure. Who was your favorite wrestler growing up?
So I watched a lot, but I mean, if I had to say my favorite, it was probably Mark Perry. I liked him because he was a mat wrestler, but I watched a lot, Gregor Gillespie, Jordan Lean, those guys, because they're all mat wrestlers. Jake Pataxel, he's from Purdue. He was an all top guy. Those are just guys I kind of like learned from.
Favorite food?
I'm a pizza or Alfredo pasta guy.
Hey, what's your favorite wrestling style?
I'm a top guy. I mean, I'm big on mat wrestling and top, tilts, turns, crab ride, leg riding. I mean, that's my style.
All right. Favorite quote of all time?
It's between two. It's make each day count or live inspired. So I'd have to say those two.
I like that. Where'd you pick them up?
So in Wartburg, we've had two wrestlers pass away. And Aaron Watermont, two-time national champ for us. His little motto after that was make each day count. And then my teammate, Kenny Anderson, three-time national champ, his little motto that we have hanging in our wrestling room after he passed away, it was just live inspired. So it's kind of something that I, take with us every day and just make each day count and then live inspired.
I love that.
Well, Landon, I want to say thank you very much. It was really fun talking to you. We look forward to, hopefully everyone will be back on the mats real soon, and we're going to follow the heck out of Wartburg, man. You've got a good thing going there, and we're excited to watch it continue. So good luck to you, and thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Really enjoyed it.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. Please share this podcast with your friends. Give us a like and a follow on Facebook and Twitter at QCA Wrestle. And keep an eye out for more QCA wrestling content coming soon.